Even the EU's coming out and saying, we're ready to talk about some of this stuff. Colin Rugg said the EU says they're ready to negotiate and says that they've offered 040 tariffs. Now, of course, the question is always on what? For industrial goods, right? Offered 040 for industrial goods. So like, what about other goods like consumer goods or other things? Is it just like raw materials or what? But here is the EU coming out, wanting to play.
We stand ready to negotiate with the United States. Indeed, we have offered 040 tariffs for industrial goods, as we have successfully done with many other trading partners, because Europe is always ready for a good deal. So we keep it on the table. But we are also prepared to respond through countermeasures and defend our interests.
Okay, good. Yeah, you should defend your interests, just like we're doing. I don't fault any other country for doing the same thing, just like America is doing. So that's fair. And we know what our relative strengths and positions are, and we'll play accordingly. But we would like to be friends. It would be nice to have zero tariffs and a nice trade partner with our friends overseas. And I genuinely mean that. It's like, we want other people. We don't want America to be the only country in the world that has free speech, but certainly feels like it is at the current moment. And even our friends in the UK and in France and elsewhere, come on, guys. You're sending cops to people's houses for their online posts in the UK. You're imprisoning your elected leaders, just like we try to do here. So we want to have friends, right? We want to help our friends lift them up on these things. But it does need to be fair. We need to come to the table as even partners, okay? And that's where this is going. So we appreciate that statement. We'll see if she continues to modify. But the president came out with several posts. He said, look, the United States has a chance to do something that should have been done decades ago. Don't be weak. Don't be stupid. Don't be a panikin. A new party based on weak and stupid people. Be strong, courageous, and patient. And greatness will be the result from the president. Panikins all over the place. And as usual, a new term has been invented masterfully by the president. It's true. It's the same panic that we've seen here repeatedly, time and again. It's like I'm having flashbacks, like deja vu. Oh my gosh. COVID, we're all going to die. Huh? COVID was bad. No doubt about it. It was bad, but we survived it. And you know what? The government made it worse. They would have just left us alone. People were already self-segregating. You could see it in the open door apps. People were stopping going to restaurants and all that. Everything would have been fine. They made it much worse with their mandates and their regulatory limitations on other drugs and other things. They wrecked it. Okay, so oftentimes the intervener, the person who comes in, sometimes the doctor, is actually the danger. Okay, when they would come out and just bleed you out to death back when you were sick. So it's the same thing, right? These are changes that we are going through, and it's always the same thing, right? It's Putin's going to march the French into the sea. That's not going to happen either. So just chill out, relax, for crying out loud. It's America seizing back its power that has been exploited from it. Of course, all of the people who are at the top of the grift are going to be freaked out about it. So don't be a panikin. President Trump is right. Now, countries from all over the world are talking to us. Tough but fair parameters are being set. Spoke to the Japanese Prime Minister this morning. He is sending a top team to negotiate. They have treated the U.S. very poorly on trade. They don't take our cars, but we take millions of theirs. Likewise, agriculture and many other things. It all has to change, but especially with China, from the president. And another one says oil prices are down, interest rates are down, the slow-moving Fed should cut rates, food prices are down, there is no inflation, and the long-time abused USA is bringing in billions of dollars a week from the abusing countries on tariffs that are already in place. This is despite the fact that the biggest abuser of them all, China, whose top markets are crashing, just raised its tariffs by 34% on top of its long-term ridiculously high tariffs, plus not acknowledging my warning for abusing countries not to retaliate. They've made enough for decades, taking advantage of the good old USA. Our past leaders are to blame for allowing this and so much else to happen to our country. Make America great again. Man, he's right about that. Absolutely right about that. And I was reading a story about how the Chinese were exploiting some tariff loopholes. I just saw a comment about this too, that China was basically exempted from $800 or less, whatever the tariff number was. I don't know what the official number was, but that's why all that cheap crap was coming in from China with no consequence at all. And you could see it like overtake Amazon, right? All of these other companies were just like pushed to the wayside everything is flooded with these weird names you never heard of, knockoff brands. They steal the IP, they make it, they print it over here, and they're in charge of GNCs apparently outside of military bases too. Yeah, it's a big problem. And on the one hand, you could still say we need our cheap crap from China, or we don't want a trade war with China, or all of those things. But as the US is continuing on that old path, China is just siphoning off strategically all of America's assets one after another. And it's free trade and we have to be the leader of the world. What are you talking about? China is siphoning off everything right now. So part of the restructuring is you got to do stuff that might hurt you a little bit, but it's going to hurt them a lot more. And it's going to benefit freedom in the long run and not uniparty rule by the CCP. So that's the president. Here's his post. He's been on a lot, just explaining and showing a lot of people coming to support him. Bunch of clips out here showing what is happening under his leadership. Now, there was this weird thing that happened today that someone came out and said this was actually, it's possible for the president to have a 90-day pause. And I think it was the same economic advisor, in fact, Hassent, who said this, but this was just misinterpreted, saying that there might be a 90-day pause, but that's not going to happen.
Will you do a 90-day pause? Would you consider that?
Or Bill, yeah, I think that the president is going to decide what the president's going to decide. There are more than 50 countries in negotiation with the president. We've got the Prime Minister of Israel coming today. We've had a reach out overnight from Taiwan. But I would urge everyone, especially Bill, to ease off the rhetoric a little bit. The fact is that say 10% baseline tariff is on 14% of GDP. That's about how much trade we have, how many imports. And so 86% of GDP is affected by the deregulation and the tax cuts and everything else. And even if you think, and I think a lot of us at the White House think that these economic responses are exaggerated by critics, even if you think that there will be some negative effect from the trade side, that's still a small share of GDP. And so the idea that it's going to be a nuclear winter or something like that is completely irresponsible rhetoric.
And apparently they launched that into something like Trump is going to maybe pause because he said yeah, and then he jumped into a question. All right, that's not going to happen. The White House said we're not doing that. White House denies that Trump is considering a 90-day pause. Not happening. Saying any suggestion that Trump is considering a 90-day pause is fake news. Okay, U.S. markets opened sharply lower. Things are like having fits up and down. Billionaire Trump backer Bill Ackman says America's on the brink of an economic nuclear winter. Bill Ackman, who we appreciate when he's right, but again, it's oh my gosh, it's all people just crying. Economic nuclear winter? Oh my gosh. Doge chief Elon Musk and Trump trade advisor Peter Navarro continued a war of words. Benjamin's coming over. And Howard Lutnick said, yeah, no, these are staying in place for days and weeks. Now, we're not postponing them, so just get used to it. Economic nuclear winter. Yes, we know what party he's from. Bill Ackman is clearly a panicking. Come on, Bill. Don't do that. All right, so just chill out. We're going to be fine. We know what we're doing. Scott Bessent, Trump, they're in charge. They're making it happen. All right, so here's more. We've got reaction from Manu Raju. People are going to pay a little bit more money. What's always interesting? First of all, we have no presupposition that the income tax is going to go away. But if it did, I would much rather have tariffs than an income tax. An income tax, you have to pay. A tariff, you just get, you have some volitional control over. Like if they're going to tariff a yacht or something, you don't have to buy the yacht. If they're going to buy this car, there's tariffs on that car, but not tariffs on that car. Great, I'm a consumer, I can make a decision. If I want that car bad enough, I'll go buy it and pay the tariffs. If I don't, I'll buy that car. Or whatever it is. As the economy continues to mature and the supply chains reorient, and then go to more favored countries. It's not because China has tariffs on it that suddenly we're not going to be able to have anything in the world at all anymore. Like iPhones are just done. It's okay. If China doesn't negotiate with us, then the factories will move to Vietnam or they'll move to Mexico. They'll move someplace else. It does negotiate with the United States and it will hollow out their manufacturing just like they did to us. If that is the exchange, all for it. We'd rather fund the whole country via tariffs rather than income taxes, which we don't even know what they are for. Like, where does that money even go? No idea. They've not built us a new nuclear power plant in how long? The interstate system that was supposed to be a benefit for the country is like 50, 60 years old. So we're paying for stuff that is going to Ukraine, USAID, liberal lawyers and their contracts, and a bunch of other garbage. So when we shuffle this around, all those people in those old supply chains, they're going to be screaming for the rooftops because the grift is coming to an end. So they're going to ask these questions like, everyone's going to starve to death and it's going to be an economic nuclear winter. Relax. It's going to be fine.
What about the higher prices that your constituents may face?
Look, we know that ultimately there will be some adjustment period, but at the end of the day, we believe that American wages will be driven up.
But there's going to be a significant increase on cars, for instance. You think people want to pay more for cars?
People want American jobs. This is about American jobs.
But they're also people have been buying cars. So in a new car market, then you have to pay more.
More American jobs. And they're going to be better paying American jobs.
How long are you willing to give the benefit of the doubt?
And in the long run, he's right. But as I've said repeatedly, in the long run, they're all dead. Short run matters too.
Yeah, so I don't know why any of these people even talk to Manu, because this little edit montage is extremely dishonest. Like, you can tell that Kennedy was talking to him for a long time, and then he just clips out this little, like, 2 seconds. In the long run, we're all going to be dead. Okay, thank you, Manu. You should be, like, on YouTube or something, man, if you want to do this stuff, right? But don't pretend to be, like, a fair and impartial journalist for your little stupid CNN montages.